Okay, everybody. Well, we are now live on all of our formats. Well, goodness gracious. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think I have it. All set and go. Facebook was offering problems. Can you believe it? Facebook will offer problems. For those of you, let me just give you a little bit of heads up before we get into the meat and heart and potatoes and whatever things of this presentation. If you are running Facebook, please get your act together. For those of you who don't know, if you are running a Zoom or a StreamYard and you connect to a Facebook group, you're no longer allowed to do that. They have now removed that as an option. So they do not allow third-party applications to connect to Facebook groups, which is really stupid because there was a lot of people that were using Facebook groups to connect with one another, Bible studies, etc. Well, now Facebook said, nope. And so, unfortunately, they're trying to do a workaround on that. So I just want to give you a heads up. If you have a Facebook group on Facebook, and you run Zoom or StreamYard and you connect to those, your groups through that platform, you're not going to be able to do it anymore. So Facebook has removed that option. Now you can still run it on your Facebook profile and on pages, but you can't do it you cannot do it on your Facebook groups. So, all right. So let's get into the presentation. I'm Bishop James Long. Long is the last name. And first of all, I want you to go to this website. Okay, it's kgradb.com. KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. And I want you to make sure you subscribe. They have some phenomenal shows there. This show airs there as well. But look, put Bishop as your promo code. You got to make sure you do that because you're going to get 30% off your subscription. So make sure kgradb.com and put Bishop as your promo code. They really have some really cool shows. If you've not seen that, check it out. I think you're really going to like it. It's already affordable as it is, but hey, save 30%. If you want to go to my website, very simple, bishopjameslong.com. Now, I want to let everybody know that the online classes that I teach, the demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy are now free. So if you want to go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, and click on class link. If you click on that class link, you just, the links are right there. And of course, we do ask you, if you're going to get this for free, please consider donating something to the church. The funds do not go to me. The funds go to our bishop-elect, Father Tommy Golden, and he is responsible for all the funding. And that's primarily because our clergy do not get paid. And I don't get paid. And so, sometimes life happens, issues happen, cars break down. And so we try to help when we can. And so we're trying to raise funds and put funding into the church account. So I think we need to do that. So again, bishopjameslong.com, click on the class link. Then all the classes are there for free. So you don't have to donate if you don't want to, but it's greatly appreciated. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. My phone just went off. Thank you. Okay, now, the church's website is usocc.org. So we have night prayer, by the way, Monday through Friday. So of course, a few trolls says you never do night prayer. I say, well, you never come to night prayer because we do it Monday through Friday. I've only been doing it for 15 years. So Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we gather together as a community. Everybody can you're welcome, no matter who you are. Just be nice. And so it's usocc.org. And that is the website. And if you click on the prayer room link, and you'll see, if you scroll down, that's the scripts that we use. But if you actually want to go to night prayer, well, that's very simple to do. All you have to do is just simply go to usocc.org, the church's website. And if you do that, and I'm going to do it right now with you, you just simply scroll all the way down. And it says night prayer. Welcome to night prayer. And if you click that big picture, it takes you right there to Spreaker. It's strictly audio. And we start music around 9:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we continue until 10 p.m. And we start at 10. This is the same compline that I prayed when I was in the seminary, when I was studying in the Roman seminary. I love night prayer. It was the best time of the day for me. The seminary was very, very, very tough. It was stressful. and time. There was a lot of studying, and it was all day studying. And no matter how many exams you had that week, you could always go to the night prayer in the chapel, smelling the incense, and the lights dim, the candles are there by the altar, and it just calms your mind. It did me, and so I tried to present that to you guys. The USOCC does. So again, okay, so please consider joining us. We would love, love, love to have you. And moderators, if we're okay, just let me know if we need to put sub chat only on. Just say yep, or if we're good, just we'll leave it alone. Just we'll see how people, some people have got to be, one of those lovely, lovely, lovely individuals. And I thank you very much. By the way, thank you very much for those of you who are really being kind and offering gifts to the ministry. We really appreciate that. So thank you for that. You're right. Somebody said, give it 5 minutes, Bishop. Well, that's pretty, you're being very optimistic. My goodness. I don't even know if I don't know if I'm that optimistic, but that's pretty good. So someone that's funny. Okay. So anyway, please consider, we would love to have you guys, and that would be wonderful. Fair enough? Fair enough. Yeah, I'm doing well. And hopefully you are too, wherever you are in this world. And no matter what you're dealing with, I know that sometimes life can be stressful, and that there's a lot of stress going on right now. And I get it. I get it. And when you get overwhelmed like that, guys, just really seriously, that's when you need to turn social media off and just kind of be with people who love you, who are truly there for you, and who are not trying to harm or hate and troll you, as we have a lot of that in this world. So just we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Make sure, by the way, if you're on TikTok, you need to make sure you follow me on other social media outlets, on over there on X or Twitter. So it's Bishop J, the letter J Long. If you can go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to where it says social media outlets or whatever, and then that's there. So you know what I mean? And check that out and make sure you follow me. Okay, tonight we have a very cool show because I talk about demonology. I'm with you guys all the time. It's not like I don't. Sundays and Wednesdays, we are here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we teach Bible study. And so we're here. People say, why don't you teach Bible study? I do. Why don't you do anything else but the paranormal? I do the paranormal one time a week. So Sundays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m., we do Bible study. And sometimes we're here a couple hours. And then Saturday is open mic. All right. So that's the schedule. But we do like to, and by the way, one more time, I know some people are like, come on. There's a lot of notes that I have to get through so I don't forget. I am working on a documentary. And the documentary is The Gates of Hell Cemetery. I did some filming on that the other day, and I hope that you enjoy it. I'm not an expert. I will say that. I'm the editor, so I'm the staff. So I'll do the best that I can. Willie Windwalker and we did a Tombstone Diaries. We'll talk about that tonight too, and maybe we'll put that up. I think we will. I think that'd be a good idea. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Speaking of Willie Windwalker Gibson, guess what, folks? He's going to be on tonight, and we're going to talk to him in just a second. But make sure you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, because the documentaries will be there and there only. They won't be in any other place. Okay, that is because they're going to be 30 minutes long, so no other place can do it. So make sure you go to my Bishop James Long YouTube and subscribe, follow, whatever that means. And then you'll be notified. So I'm excited about that. And thank you, by the way, thank you for Judy Ann on the TikTokers. I appreciate that. She serves as the executive producer of this fantastic documentary. I hope I do you well, Judy Ann. So I do appreciate her. And she's helped me a lot to get the equipment that I need to get to the rental car. I mean, there's so many things that she's helped behind the scenes because we don't charge. We're not charging for you to watch the documentary. We're not going to sell it. We just put it out there for you, for entertainment, to educate people, because we love doing it. And so does she. And this is a great way for us to give back. Okay. Tonight, we're going to talk about a topic that is dear to my heart, a topic in which that I've devoted my entire life to, other than theology, obviously, and that is demonology. And I wanted to talk about tonight demonology, infestation, oppression, and possession manifestations. What do they look like? So when we talk about demonic infestation manifestation, what does that look like? What does that mean? Or if you say demonic oppression manifestations, what does that mean? What does it look like? What happens? And then if we certainly say demonic possession manifestations, what does that mean? So we have a really packed show tonight, and we're going to break it down for you. Obviously, from infestation, oppression, and possession, explain in detail what they mean. And of course, how you can observe them if you're ever in a situation, if you are a demonologist, or if you are just a laity who enjoys the paranormal, if you're a paranormal investigator. This show, no question, is definitely, I think, for you and something that you will enjoy. But make sure, again, you go to bishopjameslong.com, click on my class link, and you get to all 4 classes for absolutely free. It's 100% online. It's on Facebook groups, and they're all free. But I was only charging $12.50 a class. That's it. I had 4 classes, and I was only charging $12.50 a class. So people say it's a cash cow. Clearly are trolls. It's $12.50 a class. And so the USOCC is giving this away to you. Enjoy it. Learn. I hope you do. And if you feel in your heart to help, please donate to the church $1. And if you can't donate, that's okay too. Keep us in your prayers. That's beautiful, and we appreciate that. Willie Windwalker Gibson, he is a friend of mine, as well as his wife, Shaman. They're both beautiful, beautiful human beings. I'm telling you, I don't know anybody who does not like them. And that's not hyperbole. I'm telling you, that is absolutely truth. Willie and his wife, Shaman, they have a reputation that is rock solid within the paranormal community. And the reason being is because they're good people. And they've helped a lot of people through the years, a lot of people. They've given their heart and soul to service. And Willie is a supernatural consultant. He is a member, by the way, of the Paranormal Clergy, which I started 20 years ago. And now Rich Valdez, he now owns the Paranormal Clergy. He is the founder of Soul Warriors Supernatural. He has a team, of course, based in Louisville, Kentucky. He has 2 books. I encourage you strongly to read them. It's called The Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors. Now, if you have not picked those up, do yourself a favor and buy them today. You can get them on Amazon. So again, the Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors. Now, Willie does offer animal totem readings. He offers cleansings, blessings, and weddings. He is a Cherokee, which, by the way, so am I. My grandmother was full Cherokee, and so is my grandfather. And Irish, and lives in Louisville with his wife, his beloved wife, Shaman. He is a UFO contactee, and he has, by the way, been abducted. And we're not going to talk about that tonight because we've already talked about those. But let's talk to Willie about our topics: infestation, demonic infestation, oppression, possession. And I think he has quite a bit of experience in this field. Willie, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, James. How are you?
I'm great. I appreciate you willing to jump on and say howdy to us.
Oh, yeah, anytime.
You know, Willie, you've been in the paranormal for a long, long time. How long? Put that into decades. How many decades have you been in the paranormal?
50 years.
Oh, 50 years. Oh, so just 50 years, folks. That just 50 years. Wow, man. You know, that is phenomenal. I've talked about my experience. You know, the first time that I ever investigated was 35 years ago and of course, that was in Louisville, and that the great, big, huge building that we love. Many people know. If you don't know, you've been there before, haven't you? At the location I'm speaking of, the very famous location in Louisville, Kentucky.
The
Wait.
owners are good friends of mine.
Yep, they're good people. And of course, I'm talking about Waverly Hills. Cool place. I actually went there 35 years ago with a buddy of mine when it was owned by a previous owner. And he let everybody go in. He didn't care. And a lot of people did a lot of damage to the building. And matter of fact, he wanted them to, because he wanted to condemn it. And one day we'll do another presentation on Waverly Hills. Hopefully, I would love to be able to do another show there live, because I've done it before. So Willie, so you've been in the paranormal for 50 years. You have a tremendous, just so much information and knowledge and experience, and especially with demonology. Now, how many years would you say that you've worked demonic cases?
Well, James, I guess I can count maybe the cases on two hands, because a lot of the places that say, come and check us out, I've got a demon, it's not a demon. It could be a noisy pipe, you know, and once you run into a real demonic situation, you know it.
Absolutely.
And, a lot of the times that I've ran into these things was by chance, because they don't usually call me to come and take care of a demon,
Yep.
I'll usually go to a place that wants me to come and check my house or my property. And then when I get there, I realize what I have, and I've walked into a hornet's nest and I have to take care of it. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
You've been in this a long time, and you have certain things that you have to do to prepare for a minor rites or a full-blown exorcism. But I've walked into things that I've had to do right then and there, because I don't have the ability to just say, I'll be right back, I'm going to bring a team in. I know better than do that, because most teams don't know what to do. Yeah. So, like I said, I think it got really bad back in the early 90s, and then it kind of slowed down a bit. But I've been probably 10 full cases of demonic possession.
So how many years have you actually worked demonic cases? How many years? Has it been 50 as well? I know you've been in the paranormal field for 50. So how many years have you
30 years.
I'm sorry?
30 years.
30 years.
If you want to take the demonic part of it, that's 30 years.
Okay.
The other 20 was me just getting started. I mean, I started back in 1988. I wasn't considered a shaman then. I kept it to myself. And it wasn't until, I got out and started doing these cases that I decided to go ahead and tell people that I was a shaman and what I could do. And at that point, I had started having a lot of people that had that were investigators wanting me to go out with their teams, because they were out getting into messes and wanting me to help them out. So it's been about 30 years. Okay.
Now, and of course, now, I've talked about user 31425 is asking me about my input about fallen angels, about Among Us and the Book of Enoch. I've taught for now over 20 years. I go to paranormal conferences, and I've been teaching the paranormal community at the best I can, as from a theological perspective, as clergy perspective. What are demons? I am absolutely convinced 100% demonic entities do exist. It's not a matter of belief. I know they do. I've worked 31 cases where people who were legitimately possessed. I have blessed thousands of homes through the years. I've never charged. I never charge, never have, never will. And so the things that I've seen, I can't deny. So I do know that demonic entities exist. And furthermore, I'm Christian. Christ said they exist. So I don't need, for people who tell me, prove to me the demons exist. Well, I don't have to prove to you the demons exist, because Christ already said they did. And so that's all I need to say. It's like, well, if you're a Christian, then hello. But I've got to tell you something. There are the people who think that everything is. Well, thank you, Lanta. Everything is demonic. That's simply not true. That's not true. And Judy Ann, let me know on TikTok if the trolls get too bad. Just let me know, and I will be happy to put sub chat only on. So, because we're not going to put up with trolls tonight. I don't tolerate trolls. I just don't. and we don't entertain them here because we're adults. So if just let me know, just keep putting it in there. If I don't see it, just keep saying sub chat only, sub chat only, sub chat. And when I see it, I'll make sure that I do that. Oh, sorry, we have to do this, everybody, but we do. But I do not believe, and Willie, if you can, I already know the answer, but do you think everything is demonic? No,
okay. James. I've been in quite a few situations where they get, well, we got a demon, a paranormal group of callers. We ran into a demonic, we need you here, the shaman, I go out with them, and it's nothing. And a lot of times it's a punk ghost that scares them into thinking it's demonic. Now, the first time I've ran into an actual demonic situation was my own. In 1988, Shaman and I went to this house because they were having problems, with things moving around. What I figured it was going to be just a regular haunting. I walk in there, and all of a sudden I could feel something was really not right. This is my first demonic case, and I was walking around, and what it was an infestation. And I was walking around, and this woman had a couple of kids, and when this one little kid walks up to me, says, "Hi, I'm so and so, and would you like to see my friend?" I said, "Your friend?" He said, "Yes. Come on, I'll show you my friend." And so he took me downstairs, and I was walking around down the basement. He said, "He lives over there behind that wall." Ooh. And I walk over there, and I noticed a few bricks were missing from this wall. So I pulled the bricks out, and lo and behold, I found a altar. And right away, I knew it was, they were doing black magic type of stuff because everything was there. Wow. It's a textbook. Yeah, and so I went back upstairs, and the little kid said, "Well, my friend, said she would like to meet you." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yes." And he took me upstairs to the third floor. This was a huge house. Took me up to the third floor. She's in there. And I opened up the door, and I walked into this area, and there wasn't nothing in there. No furniture or anything. And the door slammed behind me. Mm. And right away, the air started going out of the room, James. It was just, I was losing my breath. And all of a sudden, this black mist started whirling in the middle of the floor, and it appeared as this hag-looking, green-looking something. It looks like it was just taken out of the river, and it looked dead, and it didn't have no eyes, and the teeth was all rotted out, and it was laughing at me, and it just pointed at me and just started laughing. And I went on ahead and did a prayer and backed it off, and it let me out of the room. The door opened up, and I went out and went into the hallway and got some air, and I went downstairs, and I told Shaman, "We need to get out of here right now." And she said, "Okay." So we went home. About 3 days later, we were in bed, and we were asleep, and all of a sudden something woke me up, and I was paralyzed. Oh. And I looked up, and I thought it was Shu that was there, but and I looked over, and Shu was laying beside me, and I looked back, and it was this thing. And it was laughing at me and jumped on top of me. It molested me, James. It really did.
And you were fully awake and aware, and you can move.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it clawed me and left me bruised up, and I didn't know what to do because I couldn't free myself of it. So I just closed my eyes, and I started meditating, and I asked for help from God and from my spirit guides. And I opened my eyes, and this is what's so strange, James, and this what makes me think that you and I were destined to meet. There was a friar, a monk, standing there in the corner, and this thing was still on top of me, and it looked over, and all of a sudden this monk came fly, it floated over to the bed and put its hand out, grabbed this thing, and took it away. And I came back to myself. I could move around, and I hollered at Shaman, and Shaman woke up and turned the light on. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Something was here in the room." And she said, "What happened?" Well, I told her what happened, you know, and basically, I'm going to tell you, I was raped, you know, and she said, she got up and she said, well, what's the matter? She said she could see blood on my T-shirt. She said, take your shirt off, and I had claw marks, James.
Wow,
all over my chest.
Yeah, and what Willie is describing is what's called a succubus, and there are incubus and succubus, and so these things are quite vicious and very, very aggressive, and dangerous, and very, very dangerous.
Well, I got up and I called my elder, who was one of my trainers. She was a shaman. I told her what happened, and I told her, I said, it was the same thing that was in this house. What it did, it followed me.
Oh.
And I asked her, what should I do? She said, you have to challenge this thing, and you have to take care of it. I said, well, can you come over to help me? She said, no, this is something you have to do. So she told me how to set up, how to capture this thing, how to get rid of it. And now we're in an apartment, and I had to do a ceremony in an apartment that should have been done outside, but I had to do it inside. So I had to make a big circle in my apartment with salt and get into that circle and try to get this thing to come back to where I was at. So, yeah, finally I did a little provoking, and I got it to come back, and I went on ahead. I did what my elder told me to do. And sure enough, I was able to get rid of it. But what had happened is I went to this house. It attached itself to me, and I got attacked 3 days later. So that was my first encounter with a demonic energy, which was a succubus.
And now several of you are asking where you can contact if you need help. Here's the deal. I have quite a few emails, and so asking for help. I think now 14,000. So here's what we do. To make things easier, you need to go to bishopjameslong.com and then /paranormal. So just go to bishopjameslong.com. You'll see the links. Click on the paranormal, and you fill in a simple form. And the members of the Society of St. Benedict will contact you, and we'll get a team out. We'll help you. And if it is demonic, then the clergy will get involved. And again, we charge absolutely nothing to help. We've been doing this for over 20 years. So this is something that we're very passionate about, because this does exist. And it does happen, and people are legitimately terrified. And so I encourage you. I absolutely encourage you to do this. Now, also, the people are asking about shamans. You know, my grandmother was a shaman, and so if people are they're connected to their Native American heritage, and that's important to them, and that faith is important. Like, for example, elementals. Elementals drive me crazy because if I have a case that is an elemental, then I will contact Willie and say, look, I need your help with this, or and here's why. Elementals are defined by so many different ways by so many different people. Nature creatures, even demonic or malevolent spirits. And ultimately what happens is when you destroy the natural habitat around your home, then you have activity occur, and the activity sometimes can be pretty aggressive. But when you restore that natural habitat, then the activity seems to stop. Now, I can perform thousands and blessings on a particular location that has an elemental, and it does nothing. But I have had cases where there was an individual told me they had purchased a home, they had destroyed the habitat, destroyed the trees, etc. Activity began. I spoke to a shaman and said, what do I do? And matter of fact, I think I spoke to you about this, and you told me they have to restore the natural habitat. And that's what I told the family to do, to plant trees, to replant them. They did. The activity stopped. Now, you can say whatever you want to about that. I just can tell you what I experienced. Now, everything is not demonic. I want to make that very, very clear. Because everybody thinks that there are no such thing as ghosts. And they say, and I've talked about this a million times, and they say, no, everything is not, it's just not, blah, blah, blah. Folks, it says in Scripture that ghosts exist. If you look at Scripture, remember, it says that when Jesus walked on water, the disciples were terrified. They thought they were seeing a ghost. When Jesus was resurrected after his crucifixion, and he appeared to them in the upper room, and they were terrified, they said, it is a ghost. And Jesus even said to them, ghosts don't have flesh and bones, as you see that I have. So if ghosts did not exist, then the disciples would not have the concept of what ghosts were. And if ghosts did not exist, then Jesus would tell them ghosts don't exist. But that's not what he said. He clarified what ghosts were and what they were not. So I just simply do not believe that everything is demonic. I just don't, because I've had a lot of cases where it was not demonic at all. But let's talk about demonic infestation, what that means, and what it doesn't mean, because a lot of people get confused on this. So like Willie was talking about, you had that case where there was, you said an altar in the wall,
yes,
behind the wall?
This was the same case, but I didn't know about it until I actually seen this thing again. I went downstairs, tore down this brick wall, and there was an altar there. On that altar, it had all the things that people would do to worship the devil. You know, they had black candles and, you know, different things that were made out, like little dolls that were made. You could tell that was demonic, and symbols and things like that. So I don't know if the person living there right then was doing that, or somebody was doing it before they lived there. But I uncovered the altar, and as soon as I did that, that started up the infestation where this thing attached itself to me. I pissed it off, and it attached itself to me, and it went to my home.
And of course, and of course, that's when you have attachment. But let's talk about infestation. So we're going to go through section by section. So we'll talk about, people are asking about oppression and possession. We'll get there. But the first thing that we need to talk about is infestation. So we're going to do one thing at a time. What is, how do we define what demonic infestation? And then we're going to talk about our own personal experiences as investigators, as clergy, and then give you at least some type of clarification for that. So like what Willie was saying is this altar, this satanic altar, obviously those type of rituals invite the demonic realm. The demonic will accept the invitation, and by that very acceptance, you have demonic infestation. It's the same principle of if you have an ant infestation or a roach infestation. They are present, they are there, and there are manifestations that come with that infestation. Yes, it is live. So from your experience, Willie, and then I'll talk about my experience, what are the things that you look for when you have a case that is allegedly demonic that will fall into demonic infestation manifestations only? So what do you look for?
Well, I'll ask the people what's been going on in their house, and they usually say things are moving around, they're hearing voices, they're being touched, things of that nature. In my case, this thing laid back and caught me at a vulnerable time when I was asleep, and then it attacked. And I've run into a lot of things like that it will make itself known. But they figure, well, you know, it's just a little playful ghost or whatever. They don't realize that's how it starts with the infestation part of it. Okay.
So from my experience as clergy, these are some of the things that might have caused infestation. And then we can talk about that and see if you've had any cases that fall in line with this. You move into a home and you really love it. And you think, well, this is the perfect place. The problem is you don't know what the previous owners did in that home prior to you obtaining it. So you could have had a pre-existing invitation or infestation. So for example, with Willie's case, with the altar, that infestation, if that is not taken care of, and you move into that home and there are demonic symbols there, satanic symbols, etc., then obviously the infestation is a problem. So it could be a pre-existing infestation that you walk into. And people say, well, I don't believe in the devil. Well, the devil believes in you. And you could have also, how that could happen is someone can open themselves up by invitation. So a previous owner, or let's say that you're in your home and maybe you're at the age of reason, which is 12. Maybe at 16 years old, you thought, let's play with the Ouija board. Okay, a lot of people have done that. And you have no idea what you're communicating with. And is anyone here? What's your name? And you're using this planchette to move around on the thing. And of course, if you connect with a demonic, that is a form of invitation. And by that very invitation it accepts, it is present, you have infestation. or challenging entities. When you go and even in your own home, this is why I tell people, stop investigating your own home. And the reason is I do that is because you have an emotional attachment, investment, obviously there, and demonic entities know how to manipulate those emotional attachments and obviously your emotions. If you go and say, come on, I know that you're here. I know that you're making a noise. So why don't you push me? Why don't you do something? You're not so tough. Do something. Folks, I've said this before. You need to understand that you are not provoking, you're inviting. There's a big difference between those two. Provocation is when you begin praying. So you need to also understand that if you have demonic infestation and you begin to pray, the activity could increase. Have you ever had that experience, Willie, where you got into a case and you begin to pray and the activity became very violent?
Well, it was the same case, James. Remember I told you I had the circle. I also had religious things. I had a Bible. I had a cross. I had a crucifix. I started praying, and this thing really got agitated. Mm. And it got a little bit violent in there. And the more I listened, the more I prayed, and the more I did my ritual that my elder told me to do, the madder it got. So finally, I was able to trap it within the circle and take all of its power away from it. Now, that's going back to the house with the altar. I offered to go back to that house and close that. I knew I had to open. It must have been a portal or something because this thing came out. They wouldn't let me back in the house.
Oh wow!
So that told me there, what I was dealing with.
Absolutely.
So I had actually pulled it out of their house into mine. So I didn't investigate it anymore. And from what I heard later on down the line, the house was okay, but I got rid of that. And just like you have sent me on, I've gone out on cases like, the one we had in Ohio with the family.
Right.
That was a really bad infestation there. And luckily we were able to deal with it. I was with Father David, and, once he put his bona fides on and we went in the house and we started doing what we needed to do, we was able to get rid of it before it really got really bad. But that was a really bad infestation to the point where it was going into oppression with the family.
Wow. And then we'll talk about oppression. Oppression is when it really starts to get quite aggressive. Yeah. From my experience, and for those of you who are offering gifts to the ministry, I really do appreciate that very, very much. Thank you very much. That's really kind of you. And I apologize if I've not thanked you back. It's not because I'm being rude. It is only because I have 3 different computers running at the same time. So sometimes I don't see it. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for those of you offering gifts to the ministry and subscribing. From my experience regarding infestation, the things that I look for, objects are moving around by themselves. Many times they're thrown at an individual, a target individual. Sometimes knockings can occur, poundings on the walls. It's not all the time. When I told Zach on Ghost Adventures, thank you. When I told on Zach on Ghost Adventures, many times scratches or bangings will occur in threes. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always demonic. That's a mocking of the Trinity. But with Zach, he had other issues that were very clear to me that it was demonic. So just because you have 3 scratches, that doesn't always mean, it's always demonic. It's always demonic. No, there are other issues that he had that I knew what was going on that, he didn't make known because of his privacy, which is fine. So based on all the things that were happening, that's when I told him, you're playing with fire here. Objects can be moved around or even thrown. Religious objects would either disappear or desecrate. Now, I have seen this a lot. Willie, have you ever, let me tell you this story. I'd be curious if you've ever had this. I had a crucifix, I'd say about maybe a 9-inch crucifix. And it was they had like little tea light candles. I have it up there. They have a tea light candles on right underneath the crucifix itself. And so I was beginning to do the minor rite of exorcism, and I began to pray and do the litany of the saints. And the tea light, it was a flame, like a flame torch that actually, this little small tea light went 9 inches tall and actually caught the crucifix on fire. And Bishop David was there. A whole entire, our team was there. And I actually still have this crucifix where I show people that on the arm of Christ, it was burnt. I mean, it burnt. And that was when I saw that, I thought this is I've never seen something like that before, to that extreme. Have you ever had that experience?
Well, that one case that you sent Father David and me out on, I had Shimon with me. We had some other investigators there. One of the investigators and me were upstairs, and we were going to go look in this closet, and we heard growling in the closet, and a table was lifted up and thrown at me. And
that does happen.
And then I told the other investigator to slowly go back downstairs, and I'm gonna follow her, and I did. And I told Father David what was going on. I said, you need to do your thing. And I verified that there's something up there, and this thing was growling, and it wasn't like a dog it was something that I couldn't describe.
Yeah.
I had a table thrown at me. I've been scratched. I've had pictures thrown at me. People wouldn't believe it. And, people go out, and these investigators said, we'll take care of it if it's a demon. No, you can't. No, you can't. Yeah. I mean, it will play with you like you were just a little child. You just need to find out what you're dealing with before you could say it's a demonic, infestation.
Yeah.
And I've had Bishop, I've been called out on cases. They said, "Oh, we got a real bad demon in here. You need to come and help us." Well, I get there and I do a walkthrough, and I didn't even feel a ghost or any kind of a spirit. Well, if you certify this place as haunted, what they wanted to do for me to certify it as haunted so they can do tours out there. Use my name. So I'm not going to do that. There's nothing here, and I really got mad because, that was a long drive and everything to do this. And I was ready to do battle and find out what this thing. And when I got started, Bishop, back in the late 80s, we didn't have the technology today that you have. I used myself. I used a pendulum or tuning rod, divining rods, things of that nature. But basically I used myself because I didn't have all the bells and whistles, and I had to learn by going out with other teams what things were, like an EMF meter and a video and audio and all that kind of stuff. I never realized, the technical part of it. I just used me.
Sure.
And they would go through the houses. These teams would, they had, monitors and everything set up, and we can't see a thing. And I'd walk through and I'd see stuff, and I'd tell them, well, how do we? This was before the cameras, the LRS cameras, and all that were developed and everything. Well, how do we know you're seeing it? This is why you brought me here. And if you don't believe me, then you don't see me.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now, I've heard growls too, quite a few times when I was at Bobby Mackey's with the Ghost Adventures. I absolutely heard the growl in that other room. I've also had experiences where the foul, terrible foul odors, or even of sulfur, heavy furniture. That was a case. There was a case where I was upstairs and we were doing the minor rite of exorcism on a home, and there was the living room, and then the dining room was right to the left, basically of the living room. And we were doing the prayers, and we heard this loud thing. We heard this huge, loud bang. I mean, it was like someone had taken a sledgehammer and hit the side of the home. And the owner ran down the house. And he said that it's like a mahogany couch. It was a really heavy couch. That this couch was thrown from the living room and all the way to the dining room, completely obliterated the dining room table. Chairs were ever there, and it was actually embedded in the wall. It completely destroyed his drywall. And he said, that's it, I'm done. So he ran out of the house. He was not coming back. He was not coming back in the home. I finished the minor rite of exorcism, but that was when heavy objects are thrown, it's either one, to intimidate, or two, you're the target. Especially when you're dealing with demonic and dark shadows. That can sometimes happen, sometimes not. Animals can become spooked or very afraid. They may growl, or sudden temperature changes can occur. Activity will definitely start. When you're having demonic infestation, activity will absolutely start when you begin saying prayers. Sometimes retaliation. can occur if a clergy person is called in to deal with the activity. I've seen activity increase dramatically. There was a case in Willie, I don't know if you've had this before, where a family had contacted me and they had some severe, it was aggressive demonic infestation issues and even videos. So we validated this with a team and they said, please come. We said, okay, everything's fine. I'm coming in 2 days, in a couple of days, because I have to raise the funds to get there. And so I said, I'll be there in a couple of days. Within 24 hours, the family left their home. They would not go back into their home. They stayed at a hotel. They said, we can't do this anymore. They were that terrified of the activity because they had contacted, the clergy was going to get involved, and the activity was unbelievably violent. Have you ever had that case where someone called you in, the activity increased dramatically?
Bishop, I was called by a church, a Baptist church one time. We tried to get in there and we prayed and we did this. We threw holy water around. We cannot handle this thing. Can you come and help us? Well, I get in the car and I took soul warriors with me because I had all my team members with me, and we surrounded the house. And I went into the house and automatically, I guess people don't realize the clergy member, we are attacked. Mm-hmm. I've been sick to my stomach so bad that I've had to pull back and go barf and go back in. You ain't winning, and I've been pushed, I've been shoved and all this kind of stuff. But I've had people meet me out in the front yard. Yeah. We're not going back in there. I've actually had people put up tents and stay outside in tents that wouldn't go back into their house until I got there.
And folks, and this is why I'm so passionate about this. This is why because you meet these families who are legitimately terrified. And then when you have these demonic cases, they really are so afraid they will not go back in their home. They just won't. And it breaks my heart because when I see these people in tears, the worst thing, I've said this before, the most difficult thing about this ministry is not actually dealing with the demonic, because I know what to expect. The worst thing about dealing with this ministry is that because I do not get paid as clergy, if I was having $70,000, $80,000 a year salary, it wouldn't be that difficult for me to say, sure, I'll go to your home, I'll get in a plane or rent a car, no problem. The hardest part about doing this ministry is, one, I've never charged and never will. I pay for it out of my own pocket, and me having to tell a family, I can't get to you. I can't afford it. I can't afford a flight to California or New York or Texas, and hearing them beg and sob, and they don't have the funds to do it. To me, that was taking such a toll on my life that in 2015, and you can go back and look, 2015, I was 420 pounds because I was dying, because it was taking such a toll emotionally on me that I kept telling people, I'm sorry, I can't get to you. I can't get to you. No one is donating. No one is helping. I'm asking for, I can't get to you. And then the trolls, they go off and attack and they do their nonsense and steal things online. That actually was a time when I had a book online and I was offering, I put a book out. I was selling the book to help fund for me to get to these people's homes. And I didn't sell a whole lot of books. And the trolls actually went online. They bought the book. They scanned the book. They scanned it and then gave it to everybody, just passed it out all over the place. And so that hurt dramatically with the fundraising, even though it might have been maybe $200 or $300, maybe in the beginning of the month. So I was dealing with that nonsense. And for me, that is the hardest part of this ministry. As non-paid clergy and as someone who does not charge, is telling a family, I can't get to you. I don't know, Willie, how do you handle that? How do you deal with that?
Well, my situation, James, I live off of Social Security, mm-hmm. and I'm the same way. I'll have somebody, from, California. I've had people from Canada. I've had people from Europe to contact me. And so what I did, I got I've got a thing called Soul Warriors, and I notified, I put a feeler out there for other shamans, and if they're in the area, say I got somebody out west, like in Arizona, I'll contact a shaman that's near there, like in Nevada or Arizona. I said, can you handle this and get back to me? Let me know what's going on, and we can work. I can work from here with you. And that's how I've managed to do it. It's just like my book. I mean, the two books I've written, I've not made a whole lot of money off of them because I don't know if people don't know about them so much or whatever. But I've sold a few copies. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wrote the Soul Warriors and 2004, and I maybe have made $600 in 20 years off of it.
Right.
And the same with the other book. And I've got another one I've started and should be done by the end of the summer. I'm going to try to work out a better way to get that out to people. And but yeah, I'm in the same boat when I tell them I can't get there. I can't get in the car and drive 500-600 miles, or I can't get on a plane and do that because I don't have the money. People think just because you see us on TV, I'm going to tell people about how the TV works and the scale. Okay, they call you. And James goes out there, and he if he's on a television show, they pay his expenses, and that's it. And there's some places that he has gone on and been on TV. They don't even give a donation to his church, but he's there. So they pay the people to think we get out and make thousands of dollars being on TV. It's not like that. You might get your expenses and a stipend of $500, which is scale on TV, and that's it. You're not going to see us go out there, and you're not just because you see us on TV. We're not making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for an. Although we have a good reputation, we get there because we go out there because we're needed, and people think we go out there to make a large sum of money. If it's just like I tell people, if you see a medium out there that's got millions and millions of dollars, you're going to have to look a little bit leery at them because that means they're out for the money and not for the work.
Yeah, and that of course, we have teams. Obviously that's why I started the Paranormal Clergy to start the network. But ultimately, if there's a demonic infestation, you have to have clergy involved because there are teams that say, "Nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do the. I'm not. I can't do the minor rite of exorcism." And so that's the problem. Then you have to get clergy involved in those cases, and that's how do you do that when you haven't won the lottery. Let's jump into oppression. And you mind if we stay a little bit later, around 8:15 or so?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about demonic oppression. Now, demonic oppression, there are two stages really with demonic oppression. So you have demonic infestation, demonic oppression, demonic possession. But technically, under the second stage, oppression, there is another term called obsession. So demonic oppression is when the demonic will begin to physically attack a person, breaking down the person's will. It's a constant attack of the individual physically. And demonic obsession is when it begins to attack you on an intellectual level. So you begin to hear voices. It begins to interact with you. It's breaking down the intellect of the person. So it's a constant stage of attack of the intellect and the will, because the intellect and will is obviously crucial for an individual to stay strong. So let's talk about oppression. What are some of these signs that you've seen with an individual who is demonically oppressed? How would you describe the signs to look for?
They feel like they don't have any self-worth, James. And once I ran into, kind of put your mind of a zombie. Yeah. I mean, it's just like they don't care anymore. I mean, they don't care about anything. They don't care about how they look or how their house looks. I walked into a place to do a walkthrough that had a possible possession in it, and the rooms were just cluttered, and I mean, clothes piled up and chairs and tables and things piled up. I mean, it's almost like people don't realize that stuff like that draws
demonic energy. Absolutely. And what other signs? What other signs have you seen with like someone who is under oppression? If you were to try to describe that, so it's someone is oppressed and they know nothing about demonic oppression. How would you describe the signs to look for?
Well, what I've ran into, like I said, James, it's just people don't. I mean, if I'm in a house, I can feel it for one thing.
Yeah.
But you can by the people. Like I said, they don't care. I mean, they're not kept. I mean, they don't care about their families or anything like that. I mean, it's just. It's almost, and as far as religion goes, you can forget it. I mean, they are really, they don't want to hear about the Bible. They don't want to hear about Jesus. They don't want to hear about anything like that.
Yeah, I know that from and of course, the hearing voices is what a lot of people, especially with obsession, will tell me. And it does mimic schizophrenia. And that's the purpose of that, is to break the person's intellect so they think they're going crazy. And that is a major issue. There's a distinction. Let me just make this very, very clear. There is a very clear distinction between mental illness and possession. And we're going to talk about that when we get to possession. We're not there yet. So I have found that under demonic oppression, especially with families, there's a lot of fighting. A lot of fighting will take place. It becomes just so unbelievably aggressive. There's an extreme personality change of the victim. So the whole personality, I've seen a person that loved their parents 100. I mean, she was very, very loyal and then completely on a dime and became unbelievably aggressive, violent. And that was one case that I worked that was a possession case. And people say, well, was she on narcotics? No, she was not. She never did any type of narcotics. But this is also under this stage. Willie, you were talking about your situation with the succubus. At first, at least from my experience, and you can tell me yours, I've had cases when I worked for incubus and succubus. Incubus is a demonic entity that will attack women on a sexual nature. A succubus will attack men on a sexual nature. At first, people describe it as not being violent or aggressive. And they don't wish it away because it's not a violent thing in their perspective. And then it becomes intrusive, really intrusive, to the point where it's constant and it becomes violent. And the person says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. And then the old hag syndrome, you actually see the true nature of the demonic. And it's really unbelievably violent. One of the worst cases I've ever worked, she was 68 years old, of a incubus case. It was beyond violent. I'm not going to go into the details. I've talked about this case once where her private area and anal area were ripped open, and she was in the hospital, and her doctor and family actually contacted me, and I worked with her for 3 years. That was an unbelievable. So that's trying to break down the will. Remember, if you're think about this for a moment. Constantly being scratched, bitten, pinched, pushed, hair being pulled, blankets being thrown off of you in the middle of the night, seeing these horrible figures, seeing shadow people, or ghastly figures, or this breathing, the horrible putrid breath. You feel the warm breath, the putrid breath of the demonic is breathing on you, purposely causing you emotional trauma. Imagine if you're dealing with this every single night. Every night. That would break down anybody's will. And so we're past sleep deprivation. And it is unbelievably aggressive. When you had your case with the succubus, how did you manage that?
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit, James. Over a few days after I found the altar and everything, things were changing around the house. Something was leaving dead flowers on the front doorstep. We smelt the odor. Actually, it was kind of taunting Shaman a little bit because she was feeling things in the house, and she could swear that she'd been touched. And then I think the main thing with me, it knew what I was and what I was becoming, and it was out to get me, not only in a sexual nature, but a violent nature, but it wanted to take a shaman down or a clergy member down. And when I started praying, because that's the only thing I had was my mind, and I was in deep meditation and trying to, and as I was doing that, it really got violent. That's when I started getting clawed, and bruised and beat and stuff like that. And until I got the spirit to come in and get it off of me. I mean, it was good. I believe if that didn't happen, this thing would have killed me.
Yeah, and let me again, folks, if you're just joining us on any of the social medias, here's what you need to do. If you're having issues in your home and you need help, this is what I tell people all the time. You have to go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, bishopjameslong.com. Click on the paranormal link. Fill out the simple form, and one of the members of the Society of St. Benedict will contact you, and we'll get involved and start working your case. But you have to be patient because we have a lot of people asking for help, and we do this for 100% free. We don't have a massive staff. We just do the best we can. So bishopjameslong.com, and click on the paranormal link. And there you go. That's all you have to do. So let's talk about, obviously, possession. So very briefly, let me just explain to people the difference between transient possession and perfect possession. Some people refer to it as full possession. Transient possession is when the demonic will enter the body and leave at will. Annalise Mikkel, the exorcism of Emily Rose, she suffered from transient possession. When you're under perfect possession, that means the demonic never leaves the body. The body remains in a perfect state of possession. Now, that's quite dangerous because the body can only sustain so much trauma. And obviously, possession is traumatic to the body. And so that's the difference between the two. Now, I've worked both transient and perfect possession. When I go into someone's home, sometimes they're not in that stage of possession. So what I will do is I will provoke through prayer, not beating my chest and saying, I dare you to do something. I will begin to pray. Litany of the Saints, etc., the Hail Mary, the Rosary. I'm forcing the entity to manifest itself, which it does. Then you have what's called the transient possession. And there are stages of the transient possessions, which I'm not going to teach on air because I did that one time 15 years ago, and the people were running around saying that I trained them to do exorcisms. But this is the transient possession, and of course, and the perfect possession are both violent. Now, possession is rare. Here's what the Roman Catholic Church is teaching as well. They keep statistics, as do I, on the cases that I have. They are showing that possession is actually not increasing. It's not decreasing. It's remaining the same. However, they are showing an increase in demonic infestation and oppression. I do agree with that. I haven't necessarily seen a dramatic increase in oppression, but I have seen a pretty serious spike in demonic infestation. So these are the things that I can concur with some of the things that they're saying. So, Willie, let's talk about your cases of possession. Is there one particular case that really sticks out to you? And what were the signs? What were the manifestations that you absolutely knew this person was possessed?
Okay, James, I've told you about this before, but I got a call from a lady that told me, I think my house has got a demon in it and it's killing me. She says, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't drink. So I go up, I go to the house, and when I pull up, I see all around the house on the outside, dead grass, dead flowers. I mean, it looks like the life had sucked out of this property. So I go up and knock on the door. The door opens up, and there's this lady standing there that looks like she's about 90 pounds, long, stringy hair. I couldn't see any pupils in her eyes. It was dark. They were dark.
Okay.
She told me to come in. I go inside. There was 3 dogs there. They were barking. I mean, they were Pekingese, and they were trying to tear me up. And then she had this giant parrot in this cage, and it was squawking at me. And then this is a case of transient possession. I said, "Be still." And the dogs just sat there, really whimpering, and the parrot stopped, and she just stood there smiling at me. And I took her and I set her down in a chair. And James, I was looking around the house. Okay, it was tore up. I went into and there was water shooting up out of the drain. It looked like a water faucet. You could smell food that was laying on the floor. You know, people might think, well, this lady was crazy. Well, you need to look for some stuff, you know, to know what you got. So I looked around and seen this door, opened this door, and it was going down to the cellar. I looked down at the cellar, and there's water all over the floor. I mean, their pipes were busted. I mean, this looked like Amityville Horror. You know, there was flies on the wall, James, that were covered. I mean, you couldn't see what color the wall was. And the smell was really, you know, and then the woman, you know, she's sitting in there and you couldn't see her eyeballs. And she was, you know, started cussing at me, and she was screaming at me and laughing at me. And I took, there's some techniques that shamans do that I'm not going to tell everything, just like you don't tell everything. I just took my right hand and put it on her forehead. I said, "Be still." And she just arched back almost to a U shaped, and her legs was up in the air, and the dog started barking and hollering at me again. I said, "Be still." What it was, this thing was going back and forth from the animals to her. Okay, and in the house too, it was using the house against me too. So I had a thing. I mean, you were out of town. I couldn't call you. My soul warriors were scattered out doing other cases. It was me. I walked into a situation where I just thought I was going into a regular haunting. I walked into a full-blown transient infestation, possession type of thing. This thing was almost had her. So I went on ahead and got my ceremony stuff out, because I always carry my medicine bag. And I started doing my thing like you do when you're doing minor rites and or an exorcism, but shamans do it in a different way. And the more I did it, the worse it got. And finally, I take out a cross, James, and this is the God's honest truth. I take this cross out that was been blessed. I think you blessed it for me. And I put it on her forehead, James, and did a prayer, and I took the cross away, and it left a burn mark and a perfect cross on her forehead. I said, okay. So I started praying again. Now, this thing didn't have her totally. It was transient, and I was doing my Native American prayers and all that. And you know how it is when you ask the entity its name, all right? Mm-hmm. It finally told me its name. James, this is God's honest truth. What it told me was the same name that I had ran into in another case of possession. Same demon. Okay. What had happened is, and I believe this because you know demons know us if we deal with these things. They know our names, and this thing knew me from another case. Wow. Well, I was able to go ahead and do what I needed to do, and she came back around to herself. And when I did that, the animals calmed down, and I looked on the wall. The flies were gone. Now, the water was still pouring everywhere, but I told her, you know, you're going to need to call a lawyer. You don't need to call a plumber for that. And I knew that it was gone, but I don't think I could make things go like you can doing an exorcism. But it was gone. But I had ran into this previous demon in another case where I had to run it out of that place. So it was bouncing back and forth, and I don't know if it was controlling me or put me in a path of people that it was attacking, you know, from another case. But yeah, I mean, if you had seen the Amityville Horror and you've seen what the priest went through in that was kind of like what I went through. And like I said, you were out of town. My warriors was all gone. And there's another case you helped me with where a woman said she was possessed. And I went up there to her apartment, and she had written all over the walls and all over the bathroom. And come to find out, and the people got to realize this, you're going to run into cases like this. This woman had a mental problem, and she got off her Haldol. And you remember this case. You said, Willie, you need to call her doctor, right? And have her back to the hospital. You remember that? I do. And she got online and trashed me. Oh, he's a phony, blah blah blah. And I want to tell you, the community that followed me, they got on her big time and ran her right off of Facebook. So what it was, she wanted me to certify her as possessed, and wanted me to do an exorcism on her so she can get her kid back that she got lost because she had a mental problem.
Right.
So I ran into that, and you can verify that. I called you. I had you on speed dial.
Mm-hmm.
James, this is what I got. Well, see if she's on anything. Well, come to find out she was on Aldol, and she's off of it. But this other case was, I was able to get this thing out of there, and come to find out, after I didn't have enough time to do a full-blown investigation, come to find out this woman was drinking blood. Mm-hmm. She had haunted dolls all over the house, which I found. And there was a portal out back that they were doing demonic incantations or whatever. I closed that before I left. There was a whole lot of things going on in this one case, James, and I had it all. I had vampirism, I had demonic possession, I had oppression, everything.
That is a crazy. I remember that case. That's I tell you what. And folks, and we're going to get to what can you do? What can you do? I understand that. We're going to get to that in just a second. But I'm very strategic in how I do the shows, and that's why we want to talk about demonic infestation, oppression, possession first. And then we'll talk to make sure that, in fact, you can protect yourself. So we'll get there. Just hang on, everybody. Someone is asking me about what is the connection between flies and demonic entities. Well, there is a connection there. The root of the name Beelzebub comes from the Arabic language. A bal means Lord, and Zebub is the small insect or fly. So, and it literally means Lord of the flies. And actually, it means Lord of the skies, or Lord of all that flies. So, and for those of you who don't know, Beelzebub is one of the 7 princes of hell. And some people say it's also another name for Satan. So that is why you will see many times dead flies or a horde of flies in a demonically possessed or infestation case when you're dealing with this. So hopefully that answers that question. So what? James,
when it was over with, the flies were gone. They I don't know where they went. They were just disappeared.
Yeah.
And like I said, this thing told me its name, and it laughed at me. It says, "You know me," and it let out a huge scream when it did. And it told me the same. It was gone. It was like it was taunting me, like, "I'll see you again," And I won't tell. You never tell a demon's name, but I'm sure it started with an A, and I'm sure the demon's name, but it did. It just said, "I know you, shaman," and then it screamed. I mean, the awfulest scream you ever heard. And then the woman was fine. She kind of come out with like her daze, and I said, "How are you?" She said, "I'm thirsty." So I went and got her some water, and she drank. And I'm hungry, and so I found something that wasn't messed up or something. I forget what it was, and I gave her something to eat. She was eating it by the mouthfuls. I mean, trying to swallow to get nourishment back in her system. But when it told me this name, and I know you, and it just screamed and left. People don't realize, you do these things, and you're known to the demonic, and I've ran into the same demon twice now. Luckily, this has been 15 years ago, and I'm glad too, because every time I go against this thing, I get wiped out. It took me a week to get over that, to get my strength back up.
Yeah. For those of you, I am ordained. This is not a costume. I am ordained. So let me just ask you. Let's wrap this up. How about let's kind of, what do you do? What prayers do you go to? What are your go-to prayers for people who are either dealing with demonic infestation, oppression, possession, but certainly demonic infestation, oppression? And what are your personal prayers? What do you do, and what do you teach people to do?
Well, I have different Native American prayers, but I always go to Psalm 92, and of course the St. Michael's prayer, the Lord's prayer. A lot of the prayers in the Bible. But once you start those, all of them, it doesn't matter if it's Native American or or the Bible prayers or whatever, I mean, they get hot.
Yeah. So you like Psalm 92, you like the Lord's Prayer, and of course, St. Michael prayer.
St. Mike.
Yeah. And of course, so in Psalm 91, there's Psalm. There's several Psalms. I love the Psalms anyway. To me, they're quite beautiful. And I think a lot of people don't pray them. And so that's a shame, because I think they're absolutely gorgeous. My go-to, because I'm Catholic, is this. This is, of course, the Our Father, the St. Michael, Psalm 91, Psalm 92, Psalm 23, and my rosary. So this is the rosary that I pray when I'm doing a demonic case, and whether it be infestation or whether it be possession. This is a St. Benedict rosary. And I'm going to tell you this, as a Catholic and a person, thank you, as a Catholic and a person who's very devoted to the Blessed Mother, I will tell you this. I get extreme reaction, violent reaction, the moment that I began to pull the rosary out and begin to pray the rosary, is the moment that I get the most violent reaction. And that's just something.
And, I don't know about you, James, but the room gets very, very hot.
It's quite intense. Very intense. Well, Willie, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And tell everybody, of course, I know how they can get in touch with you. And your email is crystalchief55@aol.com. So Crystal Chief, if you want to get a hold of Willie, because you do other readings, and there's a lot of things you do that we didn't even get to today. So Crystal Chief, CRYSTAL Chief 55@aol.com. So make sure you send Willie an email if you'd like to get in touch with him. Make sure you also go, I guess Amazon is the best place to purchase your books.
Yes.
And to make sure you also purchase his book. Don't forget that, because they're really fantastic books, and I think you're going to really enjoy them. Again, it's called The Shaman Windwalker, The Shaman Windwalker, and Soul Warriors. So there are two books, The Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors, and you can find them on Amazon. Strongly encourage you to pick those up, or of course, email him, crystalchief55@aol.com. He's also on Facebook. So you
Willie Gibson on Facebook, yes.
Yeah, Willie Gibson on Facebook. Well, Willie, thank you for spending this time with us. I appreciate that. I always love having you on. People always ask, when are you going to have Willie on? When are you going to have him? When are you going to have him? Because they love having you back on. So they love your stories. They love your knowledge. They appreciate you sharing what you do for us. So we thank you.
Okay, James, and I'm working on another book. Hopefully get it out this summer sometime, and maybe it's going to be on like an ebook or something like that, so people can read it online. Very, very. Do you have a working title? The Shaman Windwalker Journeys. Nice. Well, there we go, folks. It's a hot off the press information, so we'll have to, when you have it, of course, when you put it out there, we'll definitely have to come back in, and we'll have to tell everybody about it. Okay, James. Thanks for having me on. Thank you, Willie, and you guys have a great night. You too. All right, bye-bye. All right, everybody. Well, that was Willie Windwalker Gibson. He is just a class act guy. I mean, he really is. He's a class act guy. He devotes his entire life to servicing and helping the community, and he has worked so many years helping people, charging nothing, taking on these cases. And I'm telling you, he's devoted his life to it, and so is his wife, Shaman. They both they have worked so hard, and they've gotten hate. They've gotten from the trolls. The trolls who do nothing at all, except for just attack people who are actually doing the work. So he's had lots of issues with trolls throughout the years, and that's a troll. That the trolls don't realize that they're demonically oppressed. They just don't realize it. A person who has the love of Christ in their heart doesn't go around trolling people. They just don't. Because if you truly have the love of Christ in your heart, you don't go around harming people. So people, they always ask me, what concerns me? What really concerns me? What concerns me is the amount of hate that's online. And then people trying to justify that hate. That concerns me.
So, but yeah, he's a phenomenal guy. Make sure you email him, crystalchief55@aol.com, just to say hello. Say, hey, appreciate, thank you for being on. Or if you want to, he does readings. He's Native American, and so am I. So he offers these things, and so check him out, chat with him, and that would be wonderful. Yes, understand the demons are not omniscient. They're not omnipresent. They're not all-knowing. They're not God. And we have this tendency sometimes to elevate demonic entities to a deity, like a god. And this is one of the reasons why I just not a big fan of the Book of Enoch. It really elevates demons to these gods that simply don't exist because they're not God or gods, period. There is only one God. So to me, I'm just not a big fan of the Book of Enoch for a variety of reasons, but that's just one. Okay. Yeah. And thank you again for those of you who offer gifts to the ministry. I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you for all of you. So yes. Yeah, folks, if you want to know about my faith, you can go to usocc.org. I talk about that all the time. And I'm not going to get into that discussion about my denomination, because no matter what I say, people are going to attack. And I'm not putting up with it. I'm just not. So usocc.org, it's all there. Oh no, I wasn't referring to you, Holly. I was there. Please understand that I have a chat here, 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 and here. So I have a lot of chats open right now. A lot of people are chatting on different chat rooms. And so that way, if I don't want to see you guys, is because I have several different platforms running at the same time. Okay. Well, we don't have an exact figure as far as the number of demons, fallen angels. Yeah, Wind, I'm not referring to, again, I'm going to say it again. I'm not referring to you. I'm not referring, again, people think that I'm not referring to, I just said I have multiple chats open at the same time. And people have been asking on multiple chats about my faith. So I just generally say, go to usocc.org, and it's all there. Okay. Well, actually, Nephilim was incorrect. The Nephilim are not the offspring of demons and women. That is absolutely 1,000,000% biblically incorrect. And that was only created to sell a documentary and movie. That was it. And it was a misinterpretation in the Book of Enoch. So let me just make this very clear. First of all, Jesus said that angels neither marry or procreate. That's number one. So the idea that fallen angels can procreate with women is incorrect, because Christ already said they don't. Furthermore, Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 tells us that the Nephilim existed before and after the sons of God had relations with women. So therefore, the Nephilim could not have been the offspring of demons and women. Actually, if you look in the proper translation, Nephilim means fierce warriors. It has nothing to do with demons, nothing. And the sons of God, people say, well, that means aliens. No, it does not. Speak to a rabbi. The sons of God, any theologian will tell you, who is trained in theology, will tell you that the sons of God were the children of Seth. Seth, for those of you who do not know, was the third child of Adam and Eve. So no, they were not demons. They were not angels. They did not have relations with women. Sorry, folks. They just didn't. It means fierce warriors. That's what the Nephilim were. And even 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, St. Paul tells us, do not argue over endless genealogies and the foolish myths of the Nephilim. So again, and the reason is because in the Book of Enoch, there's a huge genealogical list that goes all the way back to Satan. And furthermore, as I've talked about this many, many, many times ad nauseum, the Book of Enoch places the blame of sin directly on demons and takes the culpability away from us. Well, that's absolutely incorrect. Now, certainly sin falls under what's called ordinary demonic activity, and demons will influence that, no doubt. But the idea that our free will is no longer enters into the equation under demonic ordinary activity is just incorrect. Incorrect. So from a theological perspective, there's a lot of errors on the Book of Enoch. It's something you should read if you're interested in theology and demonology, but it's also something you should understand, that There were mistranslations in the book, and even St. Paul refers to that. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay. Yeah, I have quite a few. And by the way, we have, they're fierce warriors. It was the belief, actually, that they were a tribe within a very powerful tribe. So that's really, there's not a whole lot that we know from their historical existence. But now, I keep hitting this thing. Let me move this cord. There's so many cords. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna put this here. I have some really cool. Yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan. Again, folks, this is Paranormal Fridays. So we're here Wednesdays. We're here Sundays and Wednesdays where we talk theology, we talk Bible, we talk scripture. So today is Paranormal Fridays. I'm not a fan of preachers who preach prosperity gospel. I've already talked about that. Prosperity gospel, in my opinion, is demonic. Prosperity gospel teaches, again, for those of you who don't know, that that preachers will tell you that God will bless you based on how much money you give a ministry. That, in my opinion, falls under demonic or ordinary demonic activity. That is demonic influenced. Your blessings of God are something that you cannot pay for. And anyone who says that you can is obviously doing it for nefarious reasons. So your blessings are free. You can't pay for them. And no preacher should ever tell you that, oh, don't pay your rent. Don't pay your rent this month. Give it to the ministry, and God's going to give you 3 times in your bank account. Magically, it's going to show up, and then all of a sudden it doesn't show up, and then you get evicted. And the only person who wins in that situation is, in fact, the pastor who taught that demonic theology. It's evil. It is not biblical. It is heretical. And to me, I absolutely find it to be an abomination. So we've already talked about how they manifest. We did a whole hour on that. Okay. For those of you who like paranormal romance television shows, let's talk about. It's okay. You can always, if you missed it, that's okay. What you can do, Scarlett, is go back and watch on the Facebook, YouTube. And there we go. Yeah, Kathy says there's a preacher on TikTok tries to guilt us to give money gifts and says, well, we're not God's children. They are listening to the wrong spirit. This is, in fact, what Jesus warned us about wolf in sheep's clothing. So these individuals are not listening to the Holy Spirit. They're listening to a spirit, but it's not the Holy Spirit. So you do not follow those false prophets. Actually, Scripture calls them Antichrist. With a lowercase a. You do not listen to those people. Those people are not preaching the proper message of Christ at all. They are preaching 100% prosperity gospel, and they agreed. So really seriously, stay away from those people. Don't even. Matter of fact, you should block them. I would absolutely block them. I would not listen to anybody who tells you that that your blessings are contingent upon how much money you give a particular ministry. Block and run away. Don't walk away. Run away. Okay. Let's talk about this documentaries real quick. I love documentaries. I'm kind of a documentary nerd. If you like documentaries, here's an article that I wanted to pass on to you guys. This is by Colin McCormick, Moon Abbott, and Kathy Rath. So if you're interested, 20 of the best documentaries about the paranormal on Netflix right now. So let's talk about them. And this is, of course, their view. And you can say if you agree or not. Here it says, skeptics widely regard the paranormal as unreal, fanciful, or simply fake. But the best paranormal documentaries on Netflix might convince non-believers otherwise. The streamer offers titles that force viewers to question what may lie beyond what people understand. The great thing about the paranormal genre is that it contains a variety of intriguing topics, as paranormal means anything beyond the scope of scientific understanding. This includes ghosts and demons to Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. I disagree with that. I've always said that paranormal is theological and not paranormal. So that's just my own personal perspective. Ghost Hunters, they say, is number 20. They've been around for a long time. Ghost Hunter is arguably the most popular and successful, one of the most ghost hunting documentary series on TV. The show premiered in 2004, following Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson. I've met both of them, are great guys, of the Atlantic Paranormal Society, or TAPS. They began exploring famous haunted locations across the United States before finally branching out and hitting haunted spots in Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Canada. By the way, the show has several international versions. And there are only 2 seasons of Ghost Hunters on Netflix. That's still a total of 52 episodes, which is pretty good. So if you're interested in Ghost Hunters, there you go. I'm going to check this out. I don't know anything about this. Tell me if you've watched this. I'd be really curious. The next one, 19, is Alien Worlds, 2020. It was released in 2020. I don't know anything about this. It's called Alien Worlds. It's a hypothetical look at alien life. Have you guys seen this? It's Alien Worlds is an incredible and visually striking limited series, and it's one of the best paranormal documentaries on Netflix, according to this article. It merges scientific ideas with fictitious creatures to imagine what aliens of the universe would realistically look and act alike. You've not seen it? Or you've heard about that one? Haven't seen? A lot of people haven't seen this. Okay. The show is driven by a calming narration that guides audiences through beautifully imaginative worlds. So, so most of you said no. Okay, well, you might want to check it out if you like aliens. It's called Alien Worlds, and it was released in 2020. You don't like it? All right. Okay, the next one is 18. So Malet Barusa, do you not like it? You said false padre, so you're not a. Are you calling me false? Or are you calling the the actual show? Okay, all right. So we have a troll. Let me ask you a question, Malet. How often do you go to mass? How often do you go to mass? Sorry, we have a troll on Facebook because they have to come on and let everybody know. So let me just say something, Malet. You are the type of person that proves to people that demons exist. You understand that, don't you? You are exactly the type of person that proves that demons exist. And I don't need to prove to anybody that demons exist because I don't know you, you don't know me, and yet you come on and attack me. See, Jesus said that you're not to be judging anybody, but that's exactly what you're doing. So therefore, you're not Christian either. You see, Malet, the difference between you and me is I actually respect people. And you have now been introduced to the block button. Bye, Felicia. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to block Malet, who thinks that he has the authority to tell me that I am not Catholic. And that's how we do that, boys and girls. So, yeah, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Malet. What a clown. It's amazing. Truly, I mean, seriously, truly, these people are just evil. Evil people. Evil people. And so you are not Catholic because you're not Roman Catholic. I don't want to be Roman Catholic because I don't allow priests to do terrible things to kids. Period. So, anything else you have to say? Didn't think so. Okay. Number 18, by the way, before I was rudely interrupted. Number 18, John was trying to contact aliens. 2020. That's the name of it. John was trying to contact aliens. So here it is. It says, this quick 16-minute short film is a must-watch for documentary lovers. John Was Trying to Contact Aliens is an intimate dive into one man's extreme interest in wanting to make a connection with something otherworldly. Now, the film tells a touching story through vintage and psychedelic footage. Although it does ultimately veer away from its paranormal aspect, this film will bring audiences back down to earth in a thought-provoking way. So, okay, so there we go. It's only a 16-minute film. I don't understand. Here it is, The Unexplained. You know, this is pretty cool. I do like this one. The Unexplained with William Shatner. I mean, come on. It's William Shatner. 2019. If you've not seen this, number 17, they say, I do like this one. The Unexplained with William Shatner is now 6 seasons strong and worth seeking out. With the incomparable Star Trek star narrating, The Unexplained follows several different paranormal cases per episode. Is a perfect program for those looking to explore the full breadth of the supernatural. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So there we go. There's this. 16, Surviving Death. 2021. It's an examination of death and what comes after. That's really cool. Thank you, Jay. And these trolls, that's what I'm saying. They have to convince people that their life is actually meaningful when truly they're not offering anything at all that benefits society except for hate. And it just actually shows that the demonic is at work with people who claim to be so devout. It's interesting. There are so many people that claim to be so devout and so holy that they think they have the right to judge and pass judgment onto others. Doesn't that sound familiar? It does. Of course it does. You see, the Pharisees were the same people who thought that they were holier than thou, and they are the ones that put Christ to death. Okay, anyway, before I was rudely interrupted by Mahomet or Mahet or Surviving Death, for those of you who don't know, that's a pretty cool. I have not seen that. But I have done a presentation on near-death experiences, and I might do that again because that really was powerful. The next one is 15 is Crime Scene, The Vanishing Act at the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel is crazy. The limited series takes a deep dive into a true crime case that took place at the Cecil Hotel, the real-life inspiration for the terrifying setting of American Horror Story Hotel. By the way, the American Horror Story, the house on season 1, the owners contacted me, and they did it was a October Halloween event for an investigation. So I actually got to go to the house, the actual house at the American Horror Story season 1. And I was the first people ever to investigate the home. And we did it live. I don't know if you could ever watch it. I don't know. But we did a live presentation there. That house was huge. It was beautiful. But anyway, so it's a terrifying setting of the American Horror Story Hotel and supposedly one of the most haunted places in America. So Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel looks at the frightening disappearance of Elisa Lam and the supernatural elements of the story. Number 14 is Ancient Apocalypse. That one was called at the Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, 2021. Number 14 is Ancient Apocalypse. Now, it was in 2022. It was a controversial look at civilizations of the past and their secrets. So Ancient Apocalypse is hosted by British writer Graham Hancock. A paranormal documentary on Netflix combines history and the unknown. Audiences should take what's presented on Ancient Apocalypse with a grain of salt, as it uses pseudo-archaeological theory and several controversial hypotheses to entertain the idea that there's a cover-up happening when it comes to history. I'm glad that they wrote that. But anyway, if you want to check it out, Ancient Apocalypse 2022. Number 13, MH370, The Plane That Disappeared. 2023. MH370, The Plane That Disappeared. One of the most mystifying true stories of recent memory is that of the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. The event inspired the hit Netflix series Manifest. And it's also the subject of one of the best paranormal documentaries on Netflix. The 3-episode docuseries recounts the bizarre story of Flight 370. Truly story. It's a plane containing 227 passengers and 12 crew members that disappeared. 38 minutes after takeoff and has never been found. Well, technically, they did find, I believe, one of the wings, or I think they did find some items. Number 12, top secret UFO projects declassified. There you go. I haven't saw it. So a manifest was good. I need to check that out. You know, I got to tell you something, guys. Here's what I'm going to say this to you, but a PSA kind of a thing first. Public service announcement. There is a really intense show called From. From. Now, I love that show because I've always been intrigued with movies or television shows where monsters come out at night, but during the day, it's okay. But during the night is when all hell breaks loose. Now, the reason as I say PSA is because it is adult-oriented. So it would be inappropriate for children to watch. From. There are scenes and there's cursing. So just be fully aware that you might want to just make sure kids are not watching. But I absolutely love the show called From. If you guys know by the way, if you know any shows like that, or movies where during the day it's perfectly fine, but at night the monsters come out. I've always been fascinated with the night and the day, the dark and light, and it's always it is a series. It is a series. It's called From. So it's pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely not for kids. So anyway, number 12 was top secret UFO projects declassified. Yeah, 30 days is good. Yeah. So that's top classified, the 6-part docuseries, top secret UFO projects. Please out social on TikTok and YouTube. They experience demons in their home. Okay, here's Rose. Here's what I need to. If you know them, then here's what they need to do. They need to contact me because I do not contact people because I'm just not going to bombard people and say, look, I can do this. I've done that so many times and it's very frustrating. So if they need assistance, what they have to do is they have to contact bishopjameslong.com, click on the paranormal link, and fill out the form. And that's what they have to do because I'm not going to contact people. I used to do that all the time. I used to contact people all the time. And I have 14,000 emails right now. I've got enough cases to last me, 13,897. So I've got enough cases to last me, quite some time. I'm going to say something really quick and I'll continue the list. All the people, and I don't know these people, but all the homes that I've done duets on TikTok that allegedly have all these demons and all this other stuff, there have been many times I've even posted in their comments, I'm willing to help you for absolutely free. Just contact me. Just send me a message, something. And I've been on TikTok, for over 3 years. Not one person. Not one person has contacted me. Not one. So let that sink in for a little bit. I'm sorry, but if I was dealing with something truly in my home and I had clergy saying, look, I'm willing to help you for free, I would be banging on every single door I could find. But not one person. And I have done it. I have sent I've done duets. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help. But that's all I can do. That's all I can do. I'm not going to beg people to let me help them for free. So, yep, not one person. So that's the way it goes. So anyway, that is the top secret UFO projects declassified. I would. Absolutely, I'd help for free. And I've done for over 20 years. The next one is 28 Days Haunted, 2022. Did I say food? It's probably because I have not eaten lunch or supper today. Actually, I had a couple crackers right before I came on. 28 Days Haunted, 2022. It's a competition series about paranormal investigators. So 28 Days Haunted is possibly one of the most unique shows about the supernatural on Netflix. Series follows 3 different teams of paranormal research and investigators as they spend 28 days in some of the most haunted locations in the United States to test an experiment laid out by famed couple Ed and Lorraine Warren. That's interesting. I didn't see that. Haven't seen that one at all. The Secrets of Saqqara Tomb, 2020. It's an exploration of ancient Egyptian beliefs of the afterlife. We're going to kind of speed up a little bit. Number 8, My Encounter with Evil. I had to check this out. 2022, a look at real-life exorcism cases. All right, My Encounter with Evil. Let me read this. My Encounter with Evil covers over 3 tales of demonic possession and exorcism. The 4-episode docuseries chronicle the experience of Mexican women, Florencia, Connie, and Jessica, and their separate battles with the paranormal. The series used a blend of personal interviews, real footage of exorcisms, reenactments based on their subject recollections to chronicle these chilling tales. The resulting documentary series is sure to keep audiences on the edge of their seats. So, My Encounter with Evil. All right, you might want to check that out. Number 7, Haunted Latin America, 2021. Haunted Latin America, 2021. It's various supernatural experiences from south of the border. The next one is number 6 is House of Secrets, the Barari Deaths, 2021. So Netflix investigates the mysterious death of an entire family. Wow. Number 6, House of Secrets. And I'll tell you where you can find this in just a second. House of Secrets, the Barari Deaths. The next one is, and when I say no one has contacted me, I'm talking about I've contacted people. I've spoken to people privately about their cases. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are constantly posting a video after video after video after video, and it just seems very suspicious. But I always say, hey, look, I'm willing to help, and they never do it. They never do it. Number 5, Dark Tourist, 2018. It's a travel show focused on supernatural destinations. So that's cool. While traveling the world, being so inaccessible for many, Dark Tourist is a series that could be a fun watch for those who love both travel and the paranormal. Every episode is set in a different location around the globe, in which host David Farrar explores some of the most twisted and terrifying places to visit. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. Number 4, Life After Death with Tyler Henry. So Life After Death with Tyler Henry, 2022. It's a medium, communicates with loved ones in the afterlife. I'm a little skeptical. Number 3, Haunted, 2018. Retellings and reenactments of supernatural encounters. I was on Haunted, actually. There's a Haunted. There are several that I've done. Number 2, Unsolved Mysteries, 2020. It's a reboot of the docuseries exploring the unknown. And then finally, number 1, Until Dawn. Until Dawn, 2020. Comedians visit haunted houses. So that's what. And if you want to know, let's see, where did I get this from? Go to Screen Rant. SCREENRANT. Screen Rant. And the title is 20 of the Best Documentaries About the Paranormal on Netflix. And that's by Colin McCormick, Moon Abbott, and Katie Rath. Okay, so that's, in case you guys want to know, you guys can go back and or go online and check it out. Screen Rant, R-A-N-T. And there you go. That's it. No, we don't know. People are asking about the Eli Roth show. We at this point, no, there is no. We have not heard anything about them renewing season 2. Don't know why. Because there was a lot of people that really liked it. From my understanding, it was the number 2 rated show on Travel Channel, and so we did very good, really really good about with the ratings. But for whatever reason, it just simply was not renewed, and that's okay. That's okay. But if we hear anything in the future, we'll certainly let you know. Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists show. Yeah, I mean, it was I love the staff. The director was amazing. Thank you there, Mr. Producer. Eli Roth was unbelievably kind and very quiet. It's so fascinating to see an actor on screen and see some of the characters that he plays are so over the top. But then when you meet the person behind the act or the character, it's pretty interesting. Okay. So for those of you on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Yeah, it goes by too fast, doesn't it? It goes by too fast. By the way, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message, if you will, on Facebook. And just let me know what you would like for me to teach on regarding it has to be related, paranormal related. So anything, and it can be demonic, but certainly, but anything within the paranormal world, anything. I really would be very interested in hearing from you and what you would like for me to teach on a Friday. I think that would be a lot of fun. So there it is. I tell everybody, and now we're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Miss Wilma and I will be here. And from 8 to 8:30, we just goof off and have a good time. And then, of course, at 8:30, I go right into your paranormal questions. I have a lot of topics, a lot of articles that we did not get to today. So TikTok, stay with me for a minute. I'm not going to leave right now with you guys. But remember, I tell you all the time, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, you're priceless. Don't let all the trolls or any troll tell you or convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, and KGRADB Radio and Rumble, good night.
The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.